Hello, everybody.
Woo woo.
Excitement is in the air,
Woo woo.
and so are viruses.
Shh, I'm not gonna get sick. Don't talk.
I'm sick. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. If you didn't know, you're listening to the Squared Circle Button podcast, episode numero cuatro, which, as the Spanish say, 4.
Nice.
So, give you a little bit of a lesson. Also, I have a cold, so if you can't tell that from how I'm speaking right now, I'm Andrew, or
Candace.
I could be Candace. I don't know.
Who knows?
If you had a lower voice,
maybe. I don't know. I find it funny.
The cold makes me sound like it.
I find it funny that you're sick and I work at a daycare with toddlers who cough and sneeze in my face all day long for an entire week at a time, and I'm not sick. I have a built-up immune system.
Just so you know, kids,
what?
If you have allergies, getting colds is the worst.
I do have allergies, but I'm not sick. So.
But anyway, I won't bore you with that stuff. You came here to listen to us talk about video games.
And wrestling!
And wrestling, sure. Why not?
Because wrestling's fun.
So I wanted to start off with what we've been up to the past couple weeks. What did we do?
Wizard World Comic-Con.
Yeah, we went to Wizard World Comic-Con in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
2nd year running.
Yeah, and it was pretty fun. For those of you that go to Comic-Cons at all, the Wizard World Comic-Cons are kind of like a smaller version of the Comic-Cons, but they still have, appearances by different people. They have signings, they have photos, photo ops with the different people there. Who are the noteworthy people there this time? I think
Jewel Staite, Billy Boyd, who played Pippin in Lord of the Rings, Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, Jason David Frank, Paige
from wrestling, yeah.
Yep.
We actually we both saw Jason David Frank. We had a photo op with him. Candace went a little overboard with hers, probably.
Apparently, it caused a ton of drama.
Yeah, it did. A lot of e-drama. You wanna go over that?
A lot of e-drama. Well, I, as a tiny little 7-year-old Candace, was a Power Rangers fan, like every child my age. I had a huge crush on Tommy Oliver, and I always dreamt of marrying him because I wanted to be Kimberly.
You can tell you had a crush on him because you actually know what his last name was.
Exactly. Tommy Oliver, baby.
I just knew him as Tommy. He's the best Ranger anyway.
He is. And, so we were sitting and eating our lunch, and I was trying to come up with some creative idea to get my picture with Jason David Frank. And one of the girls that was sitting at our table was like, "You should have him propose to you." I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." Are you sure?
Amazing. I thought you came up with that by yourself.
Nope, she came up with it, actually.
Well, I guess it's her fault then.
So I went up to Jason David Frank and I go, I had a crush on you when I was 7, and I have a really random request for you. I handed him my promise ring and I go, "Can you pretend to propose to me for this picture?" And he said yes.
I think he paused for a second, but then was like, "Okay, we'll do it." He
didn't have to. That's what I am prefacing this with.
The cool thing about him, though, is he's like all about the fans. So
yes.
I went to his Q&A after that, and he was talking about how, everything he does is for the fans, and some of these appearances that he's done have been kind of out of his own pocket. Like, he's not getting, really recouped. Sometimes, obviously taking pictures and stuff with him, you have to pay money to do that, but, yeah, he's got a good positive attitude about things, it seems.
So I posted the picture on Instagram, like he told me to. He said, "Don't forget to post it on Instagram and don't forget to tag me." And the last thing he said to me as I walked off was, "Don't forget." So I posted it on Instagram. He liked it. It was awesome. And then I find out he posted it on his Instagram, which in turn posted it on his Facebook page. And
comments blew up.
Yeah, there were some positive comments, like I got a few, damn, she cute. And there was one guy that said he'd marry me. There were some jealous comments. I should have thought of that. Why didn't I think of that? I know what I'm going to do.
Apparently you were the first one, which is
that
hard
is
to believe.
Extremely surprising to me that I'm the first one to do something like that.
Didn't you say that they kind of look down upon that kind of thing sometimes?
Apparently they do, but a lot of celebrities do it. Like Norman Reedus does it, I guess, and Barrowman does it. The Jack Harkness from all that Doctor Who stuff and Torchwood and everything.
I don't know that,
but yeah, so he posted it on there, and then there were people that were saying I was creepy, and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Fuck off. Because...
My response, welcome to the internet.
Well, my thing is, and he defended me on Instagram. He said it was all harmless, it was in fun, it was making childhood dreams come true. He was fine with it. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure his wife was fine with it because he wouldn't have posted it. He even said that. He's like, if I thought there was something wrong with it, I would have never agreed to it, and I would have never posted it.
He seemed like he was defending you on it and everything.
He did.
So.
But it must have gotten to a point where there might have been comments I didn't see, or it might have gotten to some point that I don't know about because he picked the picture off of Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. I think he probably did that mainly to protect you because there were probably a lot of bad comments and stuff. I don't know what all the reasons were, but...
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed positive about the whole thing.
Yeah. And that's what I take away from it, is I waited 22 years for something like that. I'm not going to let some stupid people on the internet sitting behind their computers looking at you, Instagram and Facebook. And I'm not going to let them take that away from me because he was okay with it. He did it. He didn't have to agree to it.
Moral of the story.
But the thing is, I didn't expect him to post it.
Yeah.
I posted it myself, like he had asked me to. I didn't expect him to post it.
Yeah, I think he was probably posting it like all in good fun, and then
stupid people decided to take over because that seems to be a thing.
Moral of the story, stupid people are everywhere and they ruin the internet.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. But we can have nice things like this podcast.
Yes.
Which hopefully is a nice thing.
I hope so.
Hopefully it helps you out in your day listening to us jabber on. But hopefully it's entertaining.
I also got to meet Paige.
You did.
I got to meet Paige. It was awesome. I'm like I said the last time.
I think she's pretty cute and charming.
She's very adorable. She's very cute. She's very charming. She is incredibly sweet.
She's got a British accent.
Yes, she does. My favorite story involving meeting Paige isn't even me. It was the little girl in front of me. So there was a little girl in front of me waiting for her picture to be taken. Her dad was frantically searching for his photo ticket because when you buy VIP at Wizard World, you get a little cardboard piece of paper, like fancy, shiny cardboard piece of paper, and they rip off the autograph ticket and they rip off the photo ticket. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way you can get those. If you do not have those, like they tell you when you go to pick up your VIP stuff, do not lose this. Because if you lose this, you do not get your picture and you do not get your autograph.
Yeah.
So the dad was frantically searching through his bag and frantically looking for the little thing. And the girl, who was probably about 8 years old, is literally staring at Paige, just in awe of her. And she's just staring like, oh my gosh, it's Paige. Like, it was adorable. And then all of a sudden, Paige goes, come here, beautiful little girl. And the girl just stops, looks back at her dad, looks at Paige, looks back at her dad. Dad's still frantically searching for the paper, looks back at Paige. Paige goes, come here. So she finally goes over. Dad finally finds the ticket. She goes over to Paige, and Paige just wraps her in this huge hug. And she asked her how she was doing. She asked her name. She asked her all of this stuff. And then she goes, is is Dad going to be in the picture too? And the girl looks back at Dad, and Dad goes, yeah. And so he gets in the picture, and then they take the picture, and it was just incredibly adorable how she, like, tried to make the little girl feel better. And I loved it, and she's...
And you said your picture with her was also, she just gave you a big hug, and then they took the picture.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that was the way our picture was meant to be taken, but she saw me, and I told her that my brother and my dad are big fans of her, and she wrapped me in the huge hug, and you can tell it's a huge hug looking at the picture because her hands are, like, pushing onto my arm.
Mm-hmm.
And we both look up, and they take the picture, and I got a pretty cute picture out of it. And the autograph is going to my brother Vincent, and she wrote on the side, "I heard you love me," after I told her the story.
Well, if he hears this, it's going to ruin the surprise.
He doesn't do the internet,
okay.
Andrew.
All right, so I kind of wanted to go.
Oh,
other thing about Wizard World?
One more thing.
Okay.
Tim White was the agent in charge of Nikki and Bree last year. And I met him, and I was excited to see him because it's Tim White. As wrestling fans know, he used to be a ref. And he actually, I think Tim White is the one that was friends with Andre. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm not completely sure on that. But he was also the agent in charge of Paige. And I saw him at the photo thing, and then I saw him at the autograph booth, and he remembered exactly who I was from last year. So Tim White knows who I am, and that's pretty amazing. So.
And I still don't know who that is, but
he was a ref, and he got hurt in a Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Chris Jericho, and then had to retire.
So for those of you wondering, what's at Comic-Con for me? Well, they also have lots of, like, it's all pop culture stuff. It's not just comics. Like, there was comics there, but there were probably more other stuff, I would actually say.
Rob Schamberger was there, too.
Yeah.
WWE artist, for those who don't know. Completely amazing. Look him up.
Like, if you like pop culture at all, which, if you're a human, you probably do. If you listen to this podcast, you probably do. Yeah, they got lots of merchandise that you can buy. That's probably the biggest thing about Comic-Con, I'd say.
A very big money sink.
Yeah. You'll probably end up spending a lot of money, but they got some cool stuff there. So I actually bought I got my Jason David Frank picture. I got a print. This guy did some art of Earthworm Jim. It's kind of his own interpretation. It's kind of cool. For those of you that know Earthworm Jim, so he's like a worm in like a muscle suit thing. It's like a space suit kind of thing. And in the picture, he's like in this stylized pose, kind of like pointing his gun to the side, but the worm part of him is just a worm. He doesn't actually have the eyes and mouth and everything. So it's kind of neat, actually. I just liked the way it looked, and I haven't really seen people do a lot of Earthworm Jim art, and that was one of the first PC games I played.
You did look pretty excited when.
Yeah, it was a really cool game, and I don't know. I wish more games like that, or like it's a very creative kind of thing. The Earthworm Jim property was, so I thought it was cool. The guy's name is Jeremiah Lambert, looks like, from his signature on there. He had some other cool prints that he did of different fan art stuff. I think I have some vouchers and stuff in here too. I think they just threw them in there. They're probably not good anymore. So I think it was all stuff at the show. And then I ended up getting some free stuff. Quote unquote free. Let's see. A thing from Newegg. A couple things from Newegg just for signing up to their newsletter, I think. Or no, I followed them on social media and got a license plate cover. And it says, "I'd rather be pimping my PC."
Oh my god.
I'm not one for license plate covers. I actually wanted to win some other stuff, but I spun a wheel to see which prize I would get, and I got that. But the guy let me pick another prize, so I got a bag with the Newegg logo on it. And I'll probably be using them soon because I need to build a new PC, because there's some games out that I would want to play, which I'll talk about later. I also got some Metal Gear Solid figures. I got a couple loose ones. I think I got Meryl and Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid 1. I got a loose figure of Marv from Sin City, one of my favorite movies. And also comics. I read the comics as well. Or graphic novels, I guess you could say.
Were those the ones I got you?
What's that?
Were those the ones I got you?
I got a packaged Revolver Ocelot from MGS1 and a packaged Vulcan Raven from MGS1. And I bought a $10 Back to the Future card game, which I guess they told me was not going to be in print anymore, so that was actually the last run. And that was next to the DeLorean, which they had there again, and you got your picture in there this time.
It was awesome.
But you got to do more stuff than I did. I didn't get to, like, take pictures of the inside and do the date thing that you got to do.
Got to take selfies in there.
You had to punch in your birth date as the destination. That was... I'm jealous. I didn't get to do that.
That was awesome. I liked that.
But I would have had to pay $20 again to take my picture again.
It was worth it.
I know. I'm a big Back to the Future
There's
nerd,
so much stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that there was...
It all looks used, too.
The fact that no one
That's
was
the cool
waiting
part.
was why I got to sit in there longer. Because he said there was no one in line behind me.
I guess so. And he let you take, like, your own selfies inside and stuff, too, which I didn't do either.
Like, it was kind of overwhelming. Like, it felt like for me, like, what the Batmobile did. Like, there's just so much stuff.
Yeah.
And you're, like, just looking
They also had,
around
they had the Shaggin' Wagon from Dumb and Dumber, which I was kind of debating whether to go in that one. And then they also had...
They had...
the Ghostbusters vehicle. I don't know what that one's
Ecto
called.
One. They also had the Batmobile again.
Yep, 1966 Batmobile.
They had...
Which is cool.
The, I guess it's called Rufus. It's the car from Supernatural, the 67 Impala.
Oh, yeah.
That's
just a car you can buy. I mean,
they also had the car that they used in one of the Fast and the Furious movies. Vin Diesel's character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one next to the
I don't
Shaggin'
know that
Wagon.
one, but...
But yeah, and
anyway.
Rob Schamberger was there, WWE artist. That was the first thing I did.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that already.
Yeah. I will mention him forever and ever. He's amazing.
Okay. Shilling on Rob.
Oh, I will. I will.
That's
He's
okay.
amazing.
Yeah, not much else to say about it. We got to meet one of our friends that we met at another
Jewel
con.
State also called me pretty. And Paige called me a wonderful sister.
We can shout out to Anthony. We met up with Anthony. He was there for another con that was just down the road. And yeah, we got to hang out with him. Good times.
He had poutine at the Nicollet Diner, and
it's pretty great.
That is the stuff that you die, and that is the stuff St. Peter will give you.
Well, I didn't have the poutine, but I imagine it was pretty good.
It was heavenly.
Yeah.
I need it in my life.
I had a pretty good burger. I don't remember what it was, but it's pretty good.
I had a Hawaiian burger, but I would take the poutine all day, every day. That's some great stuff.
I think we can move on from that topic.
Well, another thing that we did the next day, Mother's Day, was the Minnesota Lynx Washington Mystics preseason game here in Rochester.
I don't think that's related. Shh. So.
It's always related.
I think Wizard World's at least related.
Shh. It's always related. Shh.
No.
Speaking of the Lynx, they totally won their season home opener last night.
Okay, that's all that needs to be said about that then.
The Lynx are amazing.
That's for a different podcast then.
I don't care. The Lynx are amazing, and I love them forever and ever and always.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go into what I'm playing then.
Fine. Minnesota Lynx are awesome.
I think I've been playing something.
Just a tiny unknown indie game, you know.
No, I'm not going to do that joke again. I did that last time. Although I have played more Dark Souls 3, I can say a little bit about Dark Souls 3 because I have played a bit more of it. I think I'm getting closer to the end. I think I just beat one of the main bosses. I don't know if I'll say it. That might be a spoiler. Probably. I don't know. Whatever. But I did, and now I saved it at a point. There's points in Dark Souls where Like I never know where to go, and then I realized I just missed something completely. Like I wasn't observant enough to see like, oh, there's this other path, or oh, there's this ladder that I didn't even realize was there. But once I looked for it, I actually was like, oh, that actually makes perfect sense. Why didn't I see that before? That's Dark Souls for me in a nutshell. I think every Souls game I played, I've gotten to that point where I'm just like, I have no idea where to go. Turns out I just missed something. I don't know. It's the way the level design works sometimes. It's not like most games where it kind of funnels you in the right direction, and like there are all these visual cues to kind of tell you, where to go. Their philosophy is more like, oh, we'll just put these things here. Oh, the path actually to move ahead in the story is this little alcove that you can probably miss if you just like blink. So, yeah. But what I've mainly been playing is Uncharted 4. And oh my god, what a game that is. It's been getting like super good reviews all across the board. I mean, I listened to what Giant Bomb had to say about it, and they still had some criticisms of the series that are still in there. I'm like, I don't really agree with some of those, but I guess that just makes me a fanboy. So I've enjoyed pretty much every Uncharted game immensely. Like Uncharted 2 is my tentative favorite in the series. Uncharted 4 is looking to probably almost overtake it, because Uncharted 2 is just one of those games that it did all these things that I hadn't seen in any other game before. Like, everything felt so smooth and fluid, and like the animations are good, the story is like engaging. It's
always looked so real. Like,
yeah.
My favorite thing about it is it's like watching a movie. That's why I like
it's very cinematic. There like are those moments that like those action sequences and stuff where other games you would have to watch it in a cutscene. In Uncharted, you get to play out those scenes as things are like dynamically changing and like exploding and breaking apart around you. You're actually playing those scenes, and it's just they stepped up their game in Uncharted 4 definitely. Like Uncharted 2 was such a like shock to my view of how action games are. And then 3 was kind of a continuation of that, where they didn't really do a lot more with it. They did some little things here and there, but it wasn't like a giant change. But I think Uncharted 4 added enough new things, and they stepped up their action scene game, I think.
Like, you drive through the mud, and, like, you pause it a lot for pictures and stuff.
Oh, yeah, they
like
have the photo mode. That's so cool.
Like, you drive through the mud, and you, like, take that big turn, and when you pause it, you literally can see the mud flying off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so realistic.
I've taken a lot of cool pictures in photo mode so far.
The last scene you played, I'm not going to say it because it spoils it, but you could see Nathan Drake's chest hair. Like, it was like... it's that realistic, people.
As a female, that's what you notice.
It was right there. It was right there.
I didn't even notice that. I guess, yeah, his shirt's kind of come unbuttoned.
It was a close-up of his chest up to his head. It was that little V in his shirt that most guys have, and you could see his chest hair. And he just got the
half-tuck shirt thing going on.
I'm just saying, it's so realistic you can see Nathan Drake's chest hair.
It's so realistic, women will just swoon.
Not quite.
Or something, I don't know.
If they have a crush on Nathan Drake, I suppose, but...
Yeah. But, there's so much I want to say about this game. So, alright, so the new things, you get a grappling hook now, and that is, like, used for a lot of cool little things to do in the game. Since there's a lot of climbing, they just kind of integrate that into the climbing aspect. And it seems like there's less... like shooting and action sequences than there are normally in the games, but it feels like they're more impactful when they happen and bigger, and
they're more intense.
They're more like tactical now, I think, because they also added in like a better stealth mode. You can hide in like tall grass now and stuff, and they actually have like indicators when an enemy sees you. it'll like fill up a bar, and then when it goes full, it's kind of like, I think they did that in like Assassin's Creed and stuff before. But like if the bar fills up, then they'll be suspicious, and then if you're there for long enough, they'll know you're there. But you can actually, and then you can go back into the stealth if you like lose the enemies, you can go back into stealth and then like sneak around and go behind people and take them out that way. So I think that's really cool. So like it makes the scenes a lot different. You can like do full stealth, which is actually kind of hard to do, or you can go in guns blazing. But the guns,
which usually ends up in you dying.
Yeah, the guns they have a bit more like inaccuracy built into it. Almost kind of like they did in The Last of Us. But you can, like, you see the reticle jumping around when you're shooting like a fully automatic weapon, for example. So you got to use burst fire in those cases. I like that though. I mean, it makes it makes those sequences a little more tense and a little more like, oh crap, like things are happening. I need to do this. I need to do this. I'm not like just this badass that can go around shooting people without thinking about cover or anything. You have to actually be a little more tactical, I think, in this game. I think there was this action sequence. I guess I won't spoil where it was, but there was a lot of breakable material around. The cover was breakable. So you're in this firefight, and it just looks so cool. Like, it was the first one that really, like, struck me as, like, oh, wow, this game is really cool. Because the firefight felt like I was playing in a movie, like, legitimately. And I was just, like, scrambling. I'm like, okay, I'm running out of ammo. I need to go and grab a gun from this guy or whatever. And, like, stuff was breaking all around. I really like that kind of thing. And I don't remember a lot of that happening probably since, like, I played Max Payne 3. There were some good scenes with that. A lot of, like, breakable materials around. But I think they do it. Yeah, it's done pretty well. There's, like, I think there's more of a balance toward the exploration aspect this time. Like I said, there's less action sequences, but they're, like, big ones.
They mean more when you...
Yeah, I think so. And there's, like, towards the beginning, there's more, like, slice of life kind of stuff. Because Nathan's, he's like, I'm done doing exploring and all that stuff. Done looking for artifacts and nearly getting killed. Settled down with Elena.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah, it happened.
I had no idea.
It happened in the earlier games.
I was like, when did that happen?
You probably didn't pay attention enough. But there's a cool scene in there, and I'll probably talk a little bit about that later because I got a question about it. But everyone's talking about that scene and how cool it is.
I loved it.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later.
It reminded me of my childhood, too. Like, it was pretty cool.
It might be kind of a spoiler, so I can put something in the notes to tell people when to, continue listening, probably. But overall, the game's really cool. Another thing I just want to mention about it is that, just the graphics are beautiful. Every single level is a vista, and you can take pictures of it, and it'll look awesome.
And, like, everywhere you go in the game, like, all the different locations, it's just, like, the sun hits everything perfectly, and you can see all of it. It's
People have said it's, like, the best-looking game across any platform right now.
Gorgeous. They put a lot of work into it.
I'm super impressed. Sometimes I just look at it, I'm like, oh, man. I can't... It's like when you play a game like this, and it hits you it impacts you so hard that you're just like, there's so much stuff happening that I haven't seen at this level before. It's hard to process all of that. And now that's like the new bar, I think, in quality. I haven't finished the game yet, but so far it's already like a 10 in my book. So
it definitely lived up to the hype.
Yeah. The characters are more fleshed out this time. There's more interaction with the characters. It's a less, I guess, cheesy story. It's more grounded. And I really like the stuff they do at the beginning to kind of show, that Nate's, seemingly retired from all this stuff. and he's looking back on all those other times. There's lots of nods to that. So longtime fans of the series, I think, are going to feel warm fuzzies, in the beginning of the game. And if you're a fan of Naughty Dog, there's other things, which I'll mention later. But they're a great developer, though, by the way.
They did a very good
Other than Insomniac, they got to be my top 2 developers.
As a person who doesn't really play video games, but I watch you, Uncharted, the entire series has been one of the games that I look forward to watching.
Mm-hmm. As far as the PlayStation goes, I think Naughty Dog and Insomniac just kill it every time. Like, Naughty Dog did the Crash Bandicoot games, they did Uncharted, they did Last of Us. Insomniac did Spyro series, they did Ratchet and Clank, they did Resistance, which I haven't played a lot of, but those games were pretty cool from what I remember. I think I actually have the like HD collection that I have yet to go through, but those games are pretty cool too.
You have plenty of games you haven't
touched, I got a big
so.
backlog. That's like older gamer problems where you have less time to play the games, but you have enough money to buy them. It's like the opposite when you're a kid. You don't have the money to buy them, but you have all this time to play them. So anyway, that's probably a whole conversation.
Hashtag gamer problems.
That's like a whole... I could probably waste a podcast episode on that, but...
It's like being a wrestling fan. Like, as a kid, you have all those videotapes and everything. Like, when I was a kid, it was always VHS. And you don't have the time to sit and watch VHS.
Yeah.
And now as an adult...
But now we have YouTube.
We have the WWE Network.
Well, yeah.
So, to any kids listening to this, you are so lucky you have the WWE Network.
You darn kids.
You are so lucky.
And your YouTubes and your Instagrams.
Because my mom...
And your flippy flop.
My mom would tape for our viewing pleasure after. Like, she'd tape all the WWE pay-per-views that we ordered.
Okay.
And that's a lot of work to rewind a tape and watch it.
Anyway, I want to finish up my Uncharted thing so I can get through the other stuff. And you can talk about wrestling. The other thing I wanted to mention, which I think I sidetracked myself, but... The cool thing, there's a section of the game in Uncharted. It's not really a spoiler, but they kind of do like an open world kind of thing at one point where you have a Jeep and you're driving around. I think they showed this in previous trailers and stuff, but it's kind of cool. It almost is like a glimpse of what Uncharted would be like if it was open world. I mean, I don't think it would really work out, but it's kind of like them exploring this idea of like driving around. It's semi-linear still, kind of, but there's so much terrain to cover that it's like you can go at all these different places and probably miss some things, actually, but they're like treasures you can find on the way. Ultimately, you have a goal that you're going towards, but there are like stops you can take on the way to get there, and yeah. But my impressions on this game, it's amazing. It might be the best one yet. I'll have to wait till I finish it to see, but it's really, really good. I did play some of the multiplayer back in the beta, and I think that was actually kind of cool, but I don't think that was really the main draw of the series. So, anyway.
The story itself seems to be...
Yeah, the story's really good this time around, I think, at least. It's really cool. What else did I play? Hitman Episode 2. Sapienza, I played some of that. I actually beat that mission finally. It took me like over an hour, which is cool. The missions, like the little standalone missions they keep coming out with, are quite large and they take a while to do. I think you're supposed to take out 2 people and destroy a virus, which is like hidden in this underground area. So there's this huge level. And I was just impressed at how big these levels can get. Like, there's this whole shop that's nearby. It's like a coffee shop or something. And there's like things to do in there. And things you can actually use to get to your targets later on. I don't know if it's a spoiler to talk about how I actually completed it. I kind of want to, but from what after beating it though and seeing all the I looked at all the challenges afterward. There are a lot of interesting ways to take out the targets. I saw something about an anti-cannon. I saw something about an exploding golf ball. It looks really cool. So I'm gonna have to go back in and try some of those out. I think I did some fairly standard ones. I just kind of go with what's easiest at the time, but they kind of want you to go back in and try these challenges out, try different ways of taking out the targets. And it looks like there are plenty to do. And I might play some more of that. I'm just still on Dark Souls 3 and Uncharted 4 right now. Those are my main games right now. I did play some more JoJo All-Star Battle just because I'm into that anime a lot lately. And that's pretty fun. Tried unlocking some characters. And I watched a trailer about the next game. Eyes of Heaven, which is coming out later this year, I think, to the States, or at least in the West. Just because they have the translation stuff and all that. So that looks kind of cool. I saw a trailer for it, and it looks like the story takes place right after Series 3, after Stardust Crusaders, and it looks like I don't think any of that's actually been done in any of the media that they've had. So not in the manga, not in the anime. I don't think they covered this story. So I think it's a new story actually. So that'll be interesting to see when that comes out. I also played a little more Diablo 3. I had a friend over and played Diablo on console, on PS4 actually. In the multiplayer works pretty fine for that game. So I think you can have up to 4 on one screen, which is kind of cool. But played some more of that. Haven't got to the act in the expansion yet, which I need to do because I haven't played that yet. But anyway, I think I've been blathering on about all these games, so I'm gonna let Candace talk about some wrestling now.
All right. Well, the last time we did this, it was before Payback. So, the main thing about Payback was to find out who was going to be running Raw, Shane or Stephanie. Vince McMahon decided both of them are going to run Raw. And it turns out they've actually been getting along. They've been doing really well. Vince McMahon went a little far with the way he was describing it. He said something about he wanted them to slit each other's throats and he wanted blood and all of stuff. It's like, dude, these are your kids. Shut the hell up. You're weird. Just stop. But yeah, and the other big thing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens was an amazing match, but a lot of people weren't able to pay attention to it because of what had happened in the match before it. It was the Vaudevillains against Enzo and Cass, and Simon Gotch threw Enzo towards the ropes, and Enzo hit the ropes the wrong way, and he ended up just kind of collapsing outside of the ring, and you would notice his arms were just flailing, and he had hit his head.
Yeah, I saw you show me that video.
And
it's happened so fast though. It was hard to tell if it was even a hit that could do damage like that.
Oh, you could tell the second he hit that he was hurt. The way he landed,
I don't know. I guess it seemed to happen really fast.
I knew the second he hit the floor, he
just kind of slipped under that rope or whatever.
He kind of, it was quick, but his head hit the ring and the rope, and then he fell. And
it hit the edge or something, right?
Yeah.
The edge of the ring.
Turns out he had a concussion, a pretty severe concussion. Mm-hmm. He apparently doesn't remember a lot of what happened that day. put a sad thing over Payback because it was the first match. And you're trying to get into the pay-per-view, and it's a good match, and I know that they probably put Zayn and Owens on next to try to get people back into the pay-per-view, but it was very difficult to pay attention because you're trying to see if you can find out anything about Enzo, and you're trying, because he was pretty out of it. Like, he had to be stretchered out. He had an oxygen mask on his face when he got stretchered out. Like, it was bad. There were people saying he even had to have CPR done in the back. Like, it was not looking very good at first. So it was terrifying, and it was very difficult to pay attention to the pay-per-view. There is one positive that has come out of all of this. Colin Cassidy. I have always been under the impression that Colin Cassidy is a very important part to this tag team. A very important part. He's just as funny. He's even more talented in the ring than Enzo. As much as I love Enzo, Cass is the wrestler of the two of them. And he's a big guy, and he has talent and a sense of humor, and he's getting a chance to show that. I also hope that they don't forget about Enzo, and they don't forget about the tag team.
Like they forgot about Dre?
Shut up. Because they were doing so well as a tag team. Like, they finally got called up. Everybody was thrilled. And it's like, I hope that this doesn't derail their tag team, but it's exciting to see Colin Cassidy doing really well and succeeding and all of that. There is a Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way match at Extreme Rules, which is next weekend, in a week. It's Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and The Miz. The Miz isn't too thrilled about it, but you know what? Suck it up, Buttercup.
I thought it was Build Me Up, Buttercup.
No.
Okay.
The big news, there are actually two pretty big things that have happened in the last week. If you remember back, what was it? Probably the last episode.
I can't remember. I'm too old.
Let's check back in my notes.
Let me get my reading glasses.
Okay.
I don't have any.
Yeah, I think it was the last one or the one before it. Adam Rose was suspended for violating the substance abuse policy. So he was already at home. And
so
then,
those parties that he's been having, he's not fronting.
Party time all the time, apparently.
Yeah.
He lives it. But actually
he's just trying to get in character.
It's very serious, actually.
Like Ric Flair, right?
Oh my god.
Except he doesn't call, or whatever he said, something about, I forgot what he did. Go on.
Anyway, so this is actually very serious. He, in addition to the 60-day suspension, which I think they probably took away and just suspended him indefinitely, because it came out earlier this week that
Talking to the microphone.
I'm looking at the calendar. I think it was earlier this week.
The calendar's in here.
No, not in my head.
I'm pointing to my brain or my heart, one of them.
No. He was arrested because he apparently had, in an argument with his wife, grabbed her by the face and screamed at her. Like, physically grabbed her face. Now, I remind you, he's a professional wrestler, so he's a bit stronger than a normal person. So he grabs her, screams at her, and then when she calls 911 on him, he rips the phone out of her hands. So he was arrested and charged with misdemeanor domestic violence and felony tampering with witness.
Why that last part?
Because he ripped the phone out of her hands when she was trying to file a police report.
So they can count that as...
He was trying to prevent her from filing the police report.
Huh.
Because she called 911. She was on the phone.
I didn't know
with
that
911.
that was a thing.
And he ripped the phone out of her hands and was yelling at her to not tell the police about it. And so he was in jail for a day or two, posted bond. The judge wanted to put a restraining order on him to keep him away from his wife. She said no because they have a child that has special needs, which if anyone watched the NXT, I think it was the E60 on ESPN, you'll know that their child has been through a lot. And she needs his help taking care of him. So she wanted him to be at home for that. And if he is convicted, he will no longer work for WWE. They will terminate him.
Yeah.
Because
sounds serious enough.
They do not stand for that.
So if you get a felony, does that automatically usually determine?
I think it's a combination of the felony and the fact that it's domestic violence.
Oh, yeah.
They've cracked down on that a lot.
As long as it's in the ring, it's okay.
There were a lot of people. Commenting on things. I really hope they were joking, but they're like, "Well, why didn't they arrest Roman Reigns?" And people are like, "What are you talking about? What does Roman have to do with this?" And they go, "Well, he speared Stephanie at WrestleMania," and it's like, oh my god. There really are idiots out there that are that stupid that they... Oh, my God. Ugh. But, yeah.
One is entertainment, one is real life.
Exactly. And they have 2 kids at home. And that's unacceptable. He needs help. He needs to somehow get the help that he desperately needs. And hopefully he's able to figure out his life. And hopefully, if he is convicted... which it sounds like he might be. The trial is next month. So hopefully, if he does end up getting released, he's able to get help. The other big thing that happened is it was the annual spring cleaning of the roster.
Spring cleaning. Spring cleaning.
After WrestleMania, they usually release a ton of people. And fans call it spring cleaning. Spring
cleaning. Spring. Every time I hear that, it just reminds me of the Rocco's Modern Life episode. I love that episode. I regularly get that song stuck in my head, by the way. Leave a comment or something if you know what I'm talking about at all.
I do.
And if you like that song and if it gets stuck in your head.
So, the Wade Barrett was released from his contract. He left. His contract was expiring next month anyway. Cameron, Santino Marella, El Torito, Hornswoggle, Zeb Coulter, Alex Riley. Christian was released from his performer contract, which means his in-ring career is over. He was kind of...
But he can still, commentate then?
Yeah, and he's still part of the E&C show. The Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. Okay. Which you've seen, and you have to admit is hilarious.
I guess some of it's funny, yeah.
Brooklyn Brawler was released. Steve Lombardi's been with the company for over 30 years, so that was a surprise. And the release that made me the most sad, Damien Sandow.
Dun, dun, dun.
He seems okay with it, though. He said the first thing he did after he got off the phone with WWE was clean his shed. So, he's...
Spring cleaning.
Pretty much. But he's doing something called a thank you tour. So he's going to a bunch of different organizations and wrestling a match here and there over the summer and to thank us fans for, he said he wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for us, and he says he's extremely grateful for us, and he may come back, he doesn't know. I'm just really sad because if anyone saw the stunt double stuff, he was executing wrestling moves on himself. Like, he is spectacular, he's funny, he's talented, I love him to death. Like, Damien Sandow deserves the world. and I'm really grateful that we got to see him wrestle and see him, like, he took the absolute shittiest things that they gave him and turned them into gold.
You know what? It seems like people like the comic reliefs the most, it seems, on the show.
Yeah. It's because life sucks and it's hard, and wrestling is an escape for a lot of people.
And wrestling shouldn't take itself seriously all the time.
Good Lord, no.
Because it can't, in all good faith.
When you have characters like Papa Shango and Mantar and Bastion Booger and Dumpster Drosy, you can't take yourself
for
seriously.
most media these days, I don't think anything can take itself super seriously without having some kind of, people don't like that. I think they like some humor.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
It seems like a trend these days, at least. I mean, it's just people's tastes are that way now.
Yeah. And Lillian Garcia was apparently, people thought she was released, but she was actually at home for Payback and last Monday because her dad is really sick. He has cancer, and she was helping take care of him. I'm just going to cover the rest of my stuff, then you can talk about your stuff, then we can go into the questions.
Yeah. Sure.
Paige and Alberto Del Rio are apparently dating. That caused just a shitstorm.
Lucky guy, I suppose.
That caused a shitstorm on the internet. He's 38, she's 23, so they're like, oh, he's way too old. Oh, I thought he was married. He has kids. He got divorced.
He's a skater boy.
She said, see you later, boy.
But not really.
But yeah, so there are pictures out there of them.
If anything, she's a skater girl.
But yeah, there's apparently pictures out there of them together. They're kissing. They look really happy.
They're kissing. They're happy. The internet cannot stand for this.
They kind of look cute together. I'm not gonna lie. I'm okay with it. I
Let
mean,
the shipping commence.
If they're
and if you don't know what that means, I envy you.
Right? I feel like my life is a little less that I know what that means.
Yeah. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Right?
The more you know.
Dana Brooke debuted on Raw last Monday. She was in NXT. She was with Emma. And she's with Emma again. And I saw this really interesting
When you say
thing.
with Emma, what do you mean by that? A tag team?
Yes.
Okay.
She's kind of
not like dating.
She technically, Emma in real life is dating Zack Ryder, but I would approve of Emma and Dana Brooke. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, they're both hot. It works.
Would WWE ever have a homosexual relationship in story?
They actually did.
Oh, okay.
Billy and Chuck back in 2002.
Oh, I think you mentioned that before.
I was actually in attendance for the commitment ceremony.
Okay.
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Yes.
I'm sure only positive things were said about that from the fans.
They definitely got a lot of coverage, like mainstream media coverage. The commitment ceremony never actually followed through because the pastor was really revealed to be Eric Bischoff. 3-minute warning came down. They beat up Stephanie. They beat up Billy and Chuck. Rico turned and went to Raw. And so the commitment ceremony never actually followed through. But the fact that they had it, like, they got to that point, and that was 2002.
Yeah.
So that was 14 years ago.
Heck, if you still did that today, I don't know if that would really go over well.
I don't know.
But then, goes back to our point. The internet is the internet, and you'd see tons of stuff about how people are gonna, cancel their subscriptions or whatever. I don't know.
That's my favorite thing. I'm never gonna watch again. I'm gonna cancel my WWE Network subscription. You're gonna watch on Monday.
They'll come crawling back.
You know you're gonna watch on Monday. Quit your bitching.
They gotta be part of the conversation.
Quit your bitching and just watch. But yeah, Dana Brooke debuted. She I don't know what happened, but she looks much better than she did in NXT. Like, she's looking pretty good. And
what do you mean by that?
I don't know if it was the camera work. Like the HD of Raw.
Looking better aesthetically, how the moves are.
All of it. Like, I don't know what happened between NXT in the main roster, but she is looking fine.
It's always funny that I noticed, not just like picking up on things because I don't watch wrestling really, that I noticed they do stuff like with the camera to make the hits look like they hit harder kind of thing. Whereas when you watch it live, it's not exactly like that, but you're still live, so it doesn't matter. Because they zoom in and shake the camera whenever they hit someone, you know?
I'm so conditioned to it, I don't even notice.
Yeah, that's probably just part of your subconscious now.
I don't even notice.
Yeah, I just noticed little things like that.
But yeah, I saw something, there's an article about her, like about Raw, and it mentioned that she's essential to the Evil Emma character, and she is. Dana Brooke is very important to Evil Emma. Like, Emma was Emma-lution. She was she'd dance and everything, and she was happy. And
Emma-lution.
And there were bubbles and everything. And then
there were bubbles and everything.
And then she went back down to NXT and turned evil.
But she went back to NXT and turned evil.
Oh my god. Anyway,
she wasn't ever the same.
So she became Evil Emma.
Evil Emma.
And Dana Brooke joined her.
And Dana Brooke joined her.
Are you going to do this for everything I say?
With goatees. Because they're evil now.
Oh my god. Are you good?
I had to do one little like impression thing.
Are you good now?
I feel like I got to do that every podcast now.
Is that your shtick?
I don't want to give away the secret sauce.
Okay.
Candace.
Anyway, I'm going to finish this thing about Dana Brooke.
All right, go ahead.
So, Dana Brooke is extremely important to Evil Emma's character, and I'm glad she's up, and I think they're keeping Bayley down in NXT a little longer because she is pretty much the only babyface they have down there. It makes me sad because I really, really, really want to see Bayley. I love Bayley. I love everything about Bayley, but if they have to keep her down there, I suppose I can accept that. And then the last thing, before I will pass it over to you. So there was a conference, like a video conference, press conference, whatever, for the updated subscriber count for WWE Network, and kind of like that quarterly earnings type thing. And Vince McMahon said that Shane is back as just an on-screen character. But there are some stories coming out now that it's not just on-screen. He's not back as an official, like, officer in the company. He still owns a significant portion of the company because he's a McMahon and he's not going to pass that up. He always has had that.
It prints money.
Speaking of money...
Oh, God.
I have a bill that came from the ceiling at the AT&T Stadium. It is in my possession. It is gorgeous. If it was real currency, I
might
actually...
For the low price.
$35.
Yeah.
But if it was actual money, like if this was real currency, I might be better at saving money because then I could just stare at Shane's face all the time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, anyway, I got sidetracked because you said money. So... Anyway, so he started out as an on-screen character.
If you could see my face right now.
He still is an on-screen character. He's not an officer in the company. But the rumors are that he does have creative input. And the main reason Shane left in the first place was apparently because Vince didn't listen to him. And he felt underappreciated. Because this NXT thing that Triple H has was Shane's idea over 7 years ago. So, if Vince would have listened to him, Shane would have created NXT and not his beloved son-in-law, Triple H.
What if he took over completely?
WWE? If Shane took over or Triple H?
Shane.
It'd be great. Because it'd be great.
Either one, though, you like, right?
The thing about it is everyone seems to, nobody will admit it, but everybody seems to walk around on eggshells around Vince and Stephanie and even Triple H to some extent because he's married to Stephanie. Shane has always been the laid-back, fun, cool guy. Like, everyone in the back loves him. Everyone is...
I wonder if that would change, though, if he had more of a stake in it.
He had a pretty big stake in it before he left. He
But
was on screen, and he was an officer, and he had creative input, and he had a huge stake in the company. And he ran the website, WWE.com.
Did he have the final say on
Vince
things?
will always have a final say.
Yeah.
Vince has a final say
I think
even
that's
now.
probably a difference.
But...
And if you have shareholders and all that stuff.
But... Yeah. WWE.com, not as it exists now, but originally was created by Shane McMahon. Shane was part of the digital media department, and there were stories that came out that literally, like, Shane would take his entire department to go bowling, and he'd drink with them, and there were crazy-ass stories, and just, he seems like a fun guy. And
like a mushroom.
And, like, shut up. And, like, I always
They're
go
delicious.
back to when I met Kurt Angle. Because I figured, oh, hey, Kurt's friends with Shane. What does he think of him? When I asked Kurt Angle, I was 16 when I met him. I asked Kurt Angle, what is Shane McMahon like in real life? And he said he is, quote, the most generous gentleman you will ever meet, unquote. Literally, The Rock's book, Chyna's book, Kurt Angle's book, all of them will tell stories about how fun and...
Did you read all these books?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Mick Foley's book mentions it. Everyone loves Shane. They love him. He's fun. He makes everything more fun.
He jumps off of 20-foot tall cages.
He jumps off of 50-foot Titantrons. We don't get into that, though. But everyone loves him, and he's a fun person, and he makes everything interesting and enjoyable, and according to Natalia, all the women, the entire women's division, go, when Shane's on TV, they watch him. Yeah. Like, everyone loves him. So I hope he comes back. If he really wants, like, this to be around for his sons and all of that, then I hope he stays. If it's not on TV, I will mourn that. I will be sad.
Okay.
Because it sucked when he resigned. And that was a very challenging... I actually remember posting on Facebook that he was resigning as of the 1st of January 2010. And the kids' grandpa, Kevin, would comment on it. And he went, oh, it's so tragic. And I'm like, Kevin, stop. He would always tease me about that. But I'm really happy he's back. And apparently people feel like they don't have to walk around on eggshells around him.
He's back in the saddle again.
Yeah. And he seems to be enjoying it. And I hope he stays around. Not for my own selfish reasons. Not just for my own selfish reasons.
For the good of the company?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think he could have a lot of... like, the whole Dean Ambrose, Chris Jericho thing and the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental title have been him.
Mm-hmm.
So, two of the most entertaining things on WWE TV right now have been him. So,
okay.
Moral of the story, I love Shane McMahon.
If you're done wrapping up
that was my last thing.
Okay. Yes. I wanted to go over a little bit of news. I haven't really done news before.
Save the best for last.
Sure. A little bit of news, and then we'll go into questions, I think. I just pulled a few things, kind of haphazardly, but let's see. One of the things that caught my eye, it was a trending topic on Facebook. So, Greg Ellis, he's the voice actor who played Cullen in the Dragon Age franchise. He was reported missing on the 11th of May, and I guess he was last seen, it says he was last seen Wednesday afternoon at his North Hollywood home, where he was shirtless and manic. The house was found a few hours later with all doors open and contained Ellis's wallet, keys, and phone, though he was nowhere to be seen. Ellis is bipolar, leading friends to believe this has played a part in his disappearance. But they found him, right?
Yes, they found him yesterday, I believe.
I don't think this said that. I was trying to find...
I do believe, according to Facebook, he was found.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. He has been found, yes. I had to go to a different story. But yeah, okay. So yeah, someone posted something about that.
So yeah, thankfully he was found. If he has all the problems,
I haven't played Dragon Age yet. That was one of those franchises that I didn't really get into, and I was like, someday I'll play this, and I never got around to it because there's too many games to play. And that one fell by the wayside, I think. But
yeah, if he's as bad as that article was saying he is, I'm really happy he was found.
Yeah, it sounds like he could have...
Unmedicated bipolar disorder is...
He could have done something to hurt himself
or others. Like, it's not good.
All right. Well, it's... some good news came out of that at least, which is good. Apparently he's okay. He's found. Next thing I had... So, for those of you that are like me and really love the Metal Gear Solid games and love Hideo Kojima, know that he has his own new production company with the same name as his old one, actually, Kojima Productions, but now he's not affiliated with Konami. So he has a logo, and it looks like this, like, some kind of armor over a head, over a skull head. It almost looks like it's part of a mech or something, actually. And I guess it came out that Kojima was saying the logo has a secret. It has a full body, a really cool full body. He said we're planning on putting out a figure version of it. So I'm wondering if the full body has something to do with an upcoming game. And knowing Kojima, I mean, and the things he likes to do, that might actually be the case. Keeping fans in suspense about what his next project's gonna be.
He's also a huge, gigantic fucking troll.
Yeah. He's a cinematic, like, buff. He watches a movie a day, I think he said, and he only gets, like, a few hours of sleep a night. So he's, like, either working on games, tweeting pictures of his food, or watching movies. That's what I've learned.
He's so American now.
He kind of is. He really likes American sensibilities, I think.
Also...
But since he's Japanese, he still has that Japanese kind of quirkiness, I think.
My favorite thing was at, what was it? Was it the Game Awards?
I think so.
Everyone's like, oh, he's gonna announce Metal Gear Solid 5, and it turns out it was a clothing line.
Oh, no, that was like a different press conference thing, I think.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, the Metal Gear Solid collection, turns out it was a clothing line.
It was hilarious. Yeah. Seeing all the comments blow up.
I mean, there already was an HD collection, and like the Legacy collection had already come out, so people were confused.
Seeing all the comments just blow up about how he's such a fucking troll was so hilarious.
Yeah.
It was great.
I guess
like him.
Another thing I looked at, he has... I guess he's talking a little bit about the new game coming up, but it didn't really seem like he said much at all. That's it's still in such early stages that I don't think it's even worth mentioning, but there was an article that someone wrote about the game. So the other thing I wanted to say is just Dark Souls 3 apparently there's this whole thing about the poise stat, and for those of you that play Dark Souls know that poise, or you may or may not know, poise is the stat that determines whether or not if you're hit by a weapon that you can keep attacking, or if you stagger. That's usually what determines it. So like heavy armor usually increases your poise, whereas lighter armor makes it lower. And it's an important thing in PvP, I guess. Some people have entire builds dedicated to high poise, and they just keep, hammering on attacks on people. But I guess in Dark Souls 3, there doesn't seem to be a poise stat, or at least there is poise, but it doesn't seem to be working the same as it did before. So people are wondering if there's even, if it was even working. Because someone else actually found that there was a switch in the game's code to turn on poise or something like that, and that it actually did work the way it was originally, I think, in the other games. So I guess there are spots where there are some conditions where poise does actually affect things, but they're not as many. It seems if you wear a lot of heavy armor that you still can get staggered when you get hit. So people are wondering, what's up with the poise system? Is it broken? And I guess From Software came out and said that it actually is working as intended. I don't know if that's just to cover their own, or if that's actually what it is. If they just toned it down so much that it's almost seemingly useless, I guess, which invalidates some people's builds that they like to do. So that kind of sucks for the people that, they have always relied on these high poise builds. I bet all this is gibberish to you, isn't it, Candace?
Yeah, it is. It's okay, though.
It kind of makes sense, though, doesn't it? Maybe? No?
Not
you know
really.
what a build is, right? A character build.
Sure.
It's how you, in an RPG, it's like how you allocate your stats. It's like, do I want to focus on strength? Do I want to focus on dexterity, etc.? Do I want to focus on high health? Whatever.
Yeah, most of this is going over my head. But
and it's like what weapons and armor you have as well.
Thank you for trying to explain it.
I tried. But anyway, I'm not sure what to think about that. I don't really care about poise all that much. I'm usually a sword and shield kind of guy, so if it doesn't have to do with that, then I don't really worry too much about it. So I'm still trucking along at least. And I also, this morning, I watched the Assassin's Creed movie trailer with Michael Fassbender, and I'm trying to think, who else is the other person? It doesn't say. But anyway, it looks interesting, I guess. I'm not too big on video game adaptations because they tend to not be very good in movies. Ratchet and Clank I thought was pretty good though.
But it wasn't like live
action. It wasn't
like,
live action, of course.
Like live action video game movies just tend to suck.
Yeah, I think that's the general rule really. But I think CG is most of the time the best way to do it for video game movies. This one, I mean, it looks like it's I don't know what to think about it yet. I'd probably have to watch it a few more times to get a good opinion, but I kind of fell off the Assassin's Creed series just because I'm just tired of the formula and the story didn't really keep me going anymore.
It's like my feelings on everything zombie.
Yeah.
Tired of them.
But, I used to be a really big Assassin's Creed fan, and I just fell off of the series. I don't really care where the story's going these days. But, I mean, people will probably see it. It probably won't be a big hit, but we'll see. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Interesting. There was a Kanye West song playing
That's
over the trailer.
Thought I heard.
Yeah, I heard other people talk about it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I watched it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Kanye West rapping in an Assassin's Creed trailer, which is kind of weird. But maybe that sets the tone for what this movie is going to be and what it's trying to target for the audience.
Dude bros?
I don't know. Probably.
You think if they were trying to like target dude bros, they'd go for Call of Duty?
Yeah. See, I don't know if this is like supposed to be just for the fans or not.
Dude bros are gonna skewer me now.
Whatever.
They
know who they are.
I've already gone through it. You can't say anything that hasn't already been said to me.
Just unpop your collars for a second. You'll be okay. Don't worry. I don't know. I won't say much else about it. You can go see the trailer and see what you think for yourself. Make a comment, I guess, if I want to see what people's opinions are on it. So, yeah.
Also, leave comments on anything in the wrestling world you want me to talk about.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think we'll just go into the questions now. We're kind of running, let's see, almost, hour 15, so let's just go into questions. We had a couple from a good buddy, Ryan. This is actually going to go into Uncharted 4 spoiler territory.
Do you want me to do mine first so you can do the spoiler section so we can warn them that they're spoilers? I do mine and then you go into yours.
Well, I'm going to write down the timestamps, so I can go first.
Okay.
If you want. So, for those of you that don't want the Uncharted 4 spoilers, it's about, I think it's chapter 3, and it's called the dinner scene, and if you've played it, you know what that is. So right now is when you want to have the spoiler. The spoilers are happening now. So I'll put it in the show notes, so don't worry. So Brian asks, there was a leak within Uncharted 4 where you see Drake and Elena playing the original Crash Bandicoot in their house. So this could be either a nod to their origins or a clue as to what is going to be coming back. Which would you prefer, even though I know you like Spyro more? So, I have played that scene, and
it was great.
It's really cool. What essentially happens is Elena and Nate are in their house. Elena's like finishing something up, and they're having dinner, and you have to go over and like make the dinner or bring it. It's kind of already made, or I think you go to the fridge too, but I don't know what happens if you do that. But you can bring the dinner to her, and then so then you eat the dinner, you have a little conversation. I think you get to like have little like things to choose to like say to her, which was kind of a neat little thing. And then you finish your food, and then it's like, oh, who's gonna clean up now? And Nate's like, well, how about I play you on your game thing for it or whatever?
Let me try to beat
and
your
Elena's
high
like,
score.
excuse me, my game thing? And turns on a PlayStation, a PS1, with the boot up loading screen, which I have to say is one of the coolest loading screens ever. Like, the sound is amazing, and just like nostalgia right there. And then it loads up Crash Bandicoot 1.
So great.
So you are actually playing Crash Bandicoot 1. I forgot what level it's called, but it's the one you're like running towards the screen away from the boulders, and you have to like jump all over the gaps
pits,
and stuff.
Yeah.
God, I forgot how hard that was because I actually ended up failing it. But it's cool because they're like talking at the same time, like going back and forth, and like depending on how you do, like she'll like trash talk you and
Elena's
stuff like that.
high score is like 3,500.
Yeah, you have to beat her high score. I actually didn't.
You
I
had
fell.
like 500.
I think the score is based on the crates and also just not dying.
And she's like, hit the crates, spin to hit the crates.
Yeah, it's so funny. And apparently Nate doesn't play video games, so he's just like, oh, I could probably do this.
Oh, I could do this. I could beat your high score.
I climb up towers and like ruins and stuff in real life. I can do this. Turns out, in my canon, he is bad at Crash Bandicoot, so I didn't beat the high score, and I want to try it again just to see what happens if you do beat it. But it doesn't really have any stake on what happens in the game other than
it's a
who
cute little moment.
Yeah. And it was just so nostalgic and a throwback to Naughty Dog's like origins of, you know, how they were put on the map, really.
And I love Crash Bandicoot, so it made me happy.
Everyone should love Crash Bandicoot. It's awesome.
I kind of want to play Crash Bandicoot now. I haven't played it since
But anyway, what Ryan was getting at is because they have Crash Bandicoot, that would seem to imply that Naughty Dog actually does have rights again for Crash Bandicoot.
Did they not?
I think Activision did or something like that.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know all of the details of that, but people have been speculating that that's that means that they could actually do something with the franchise now again.
I'd play it.
And seeing as how quality Naughty Dog's games have been, I think that would be awesome. If they can do a Crash Bandicoot game that like brings it into the next generation, I don't know how they do it though, because Crash Bandicoot has always been like linear pathways through stuff, just like levels in like the original sense of the word. Like you go through a level and then you pick the next level when you beat that level.
It's kind of like Mario.
Yeah. And I don't know if I liked the platforming as much in that style. Ryan did say that I like Spyro better. I think that's probably the case. Just because Spyro is a little more open-ended. It's not like running down a corridor kind of thing.
I think, having watched you play Spyro, I'm more of a Crash Bandicoot girl.
Well, it's just opinion, really.
I've also played Crash Bandicoot.
I mean, it's a more simplistic type of game, which is fine.
Which is what I'm all about.
People have done reboots of stuff like that, and it's been fine. I just would be interested to see how they do it. So I'm all for Crash Bandicoot coming back, because I have fond memories.
I'd be
In
so
fact,
happy.
The first game I had that I owned on my original PlayStation was Crash Bandicoot 3. And I played the heck out of that game. I like 100%ed it, or I think it's like 107% or something, because there's like extra stuff you can do, and then you get like a good ending or a better ending or something.
Every get-together we had at my uncle's house as children was Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Like, Mom's family would get mad, like my aunts and stuff would get mad because we were inside instead of being outside, because it was usually 4th of July. But all of us kids were playing Crash Bandicoot on the PS1.
I think I mentioned this before, but what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought on that one. So, Crash Team Racing. That was an amazing game. I think if they could make another one of those too, that would be really cool. And like do something different with that. Because like Mario Kart's still really popular.
Love Mario
But
Kart.
I actually like Crash Team Racing a little better.
I love and hate Mario Kart.
So I think they should do something with that. Or, even better, if they do a new Crash Bandicoot game and that does well, then they could like take any new characters from that one, put it in Crash Team Racing, the next one. And yeah, if it's good, it'll be revival to the series, hopefully, and I'm all for it. So I think that's my answer to that one. So I'll say the spoiler tag's down for that. And then I think he had a question for you too.
Yes, he did. Press read more. Read it.
Candace, did you ever play wrestling video games when you were younger? If so, which ones did you like?
Oh boy. I did more watching. I've always been a video game watcher, unless it's been like Mario or Duck Hunt. But I did try and fail miserably. The games I remember the most were probably the 64 games. I actually have them over there now. WrestleMania 2000 and WCW NWO World Tour were probably the two I played the most. Which is funny, like, looking at wrestling games now and seeing the detail and, like, all of that. When the games I played the most for wrestling video games, the crowds were literally, like, flat.
Yeah.
And, like...
They didn't have the technology yet.
No. Like, the crowds were flat. You never saw signs. You really didn't have much choice.
I think they still do use sprites for crowds in some cases, just because it's a lot of processing power.
But it's just funny, like, looking now, like, when you create a wrestler now, you can create everything. Like, I'd create my own wrestler for... Which one was it? The PlayStation game, I think. Was it
SmackDown?
I don't know.
No.
I don't remember which one it was.
I mean, most of them do have created characters. It's just which one.
That created character, you could like take your move set. You could do the entrance.
Yeah. And
all of that, and you could create the signs. You pick the signs that would be in the crowd. So my favorite thing about wrestling games, like I will buy a wrestling game if I can create a diva.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is very important to me because I'm a woman. And I always like being able to have myself. Because we would play basketball games and we'd create teams and I'd have to be a guy. And I'd have my own basketball team. But I'd be a guy and I wouldn't be able to have a woman.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an option. So create a diva is a very, very important aspect to me. But I really liked WCW NWO World Tour and WrestleMania 2000.
I played that one. WrestleMania 2000 was pretty good.
I also the SmackDown versus Raw games on PlayStation were actually really good too. I played those.
I played SmackDown on PS1, I think.
Yeah.
That one was good, I thought too.
I played those. Those were really good.
That was when The Rock was really big.
Yes. SmackDown is actually because of The Rock, because that was his word. But
yeah.
Another game.
Also, speaking of WrestleMania 2000, that one had like a super deep like create a character thing.
Mm-hmm. Probably the deepest until it got more detailed.
They probably did more with that, but I remember that it was like super customizable. Like you could choose every button you press, you could choose what move that would do.
It was
you could
very
even have
detailed.
them do like taunts. Like you could have the guys do woman taunts.
Yep.
You
it was very, very detailed.
Change their entrance music, change their entrance.
I honestly believe WrestleMania 2000 was probably the most detailed wrestling game in that sense until they started.
Probably.
Yeah, until they started like getting more specific.
Yeah, I don't know what the other games did, so I can't say for sure.
From what I remember, after that game, you could like do every move.
Oh, okay.
And set up every move. So if I'm wrong, please don't.
I just remember though.
But WrestleMania 2000, I think, is one of the first wrestling games you could actually pick each individual move for each button. And
the only thing is, all the characters in that game were like chunky, blocky
dudes. I know. It was so great.
Yeah.
And their faces were all flat.
Probably even the females looked like that too.
Yeah, the faces are all flat.
But it was entertaining.
It was great. And I remember I tried to do... Was it the All-Stars game?
Oh, yeah.
I
actually thought that one was cool.
I tried to do the story mode.
Because it was more arcadey.
I tried to do the story mode for that one. I started. And it was like, you can pick who you're going to face at WrestleMania or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I picked The Undertaker, so I'd see Paul Bearer every...
Of course.
...break in the game. And,
Undertaker's cool.
And I liked that, seeing Paul Bearer and everything. I like wrestling games.
I don't know if you would agree with this, but like, I think in general, like the sports games I like are more the arcadey ones and not the super like simulation ones.
I like the super simulation ones because it's fun. Like I want them to bring back Create a Diva and have 2K17. And so then I can have my character wrestle like Sasha Banks.
Yeah, you think
Bailey,
they should have that in there these days.
It pisses me off that Create a Diva has not been on there the last couple of years. But I want my character to face Bailey and Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks and Charlotte and the Bellas, and like I think that'd be freaking awesome to have them face them.
Yep. Take note, WWE.
Please bring back Create a Diva. Create a Diva needs to come back.
Yeah.
But
I agree with that.
I think what I did the most with wrestling games was I would sit with the TV facing away from me, and my brother would quiz me on the wrestling themes, and I would get all of them right.
Mm. But it's funny, most of my wrestling knowledge, other than you, comes from playing those games.
I also remember playing... Was it on the original Nintendo? Was there a wrestling game on the original Nintendo?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There was probably more than one.
I played
There was a WCW one, I think.
Played Punch-Out on the original Nintendo.
Well, that's boxing.
If there was a game on there, I probably played it. I'm
sure there are plenty, I'm sure.
But my main memories of playing wrestling video games instead of just watching are the 64.
Actually, I do remember one of my friends had a wrestling game on the original Nintendo.
Okay.
It was very bare bones.
Oh God, yes.
it like every sound effect was like a bing or a
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that
was like when he's tapping him out or whatever.
Bringing back memories.
Like,
yeah.
Bing! Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember playing those too.
And I think it had Hulk Hogan and stuff.
Oh, I bet it did.
So it was probably a WCW game.
Actually, it probably was a WWF game.
Oh, I don't know. I'm old.
But
I'm old.
As I'm saying, it was actually a WWF game. I am old.
I think we're coming up. Yeah, we're coming up on a minute. Yeah, hour 30 just hit actually. So.
But yeah, so to answer your question, probably my favorite wrestling games would be WCW, NWO World Tour, and WrestleMania 2000.
Yep. So I think with that, that's gonna end our podcast. Please send in questions. I think I might put a poll on Facebook or something to see how people think about the length, and maybe one about where else they'd like to see the podcast go. Still looking at things about that. Not too much though, sorry. I know I've not been looking into it too much, but
he's been pretty much a blob since he got sick.
Yeah, I wanted to get more done this weekend, but at least I recorded a podcast, and hopefully I don't sound too terrible. But thanks for listening.
Send questions.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I mean, it's great to know when people other than just the people we know personally listen, because people are interested then. And thanks for the comments and any likes or whatever that you might want to throw our way.
Yes, like it on Facebook.
Like it on YouTube.
Yes, subscribe.
And eventually, if we put it on other places
Get
to
involved.
do so there. So that'll do it for the Square Edge Circle Button podcast episode 4.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.